Welcome back to Mindset Vault Now. We're doing something a little bit different today. We are going to look at what might be the most influential strategy book in human history, possibly the most influential book in history, The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Now, I've got to be honest here. This is one of the hardest things I have ever done. As someone who loves story-driven games and storytelling in general, condensing a book like this, which is so dense with information and insights into a small package, was a challenge. But I think we've managed to do it, and I hope you enjoy this special episode of The Story Gamer. Let's get into it. We open with Sun Tzu, whose name literally means Master Sun, because that's how he referred to himself, a Chinese general, strategist, and philosopher who lived around the 5th century BC. Legend has it that he was summoned by the king of Wu to help reform his incompetent army. And though he would have no formal military training, Sun Tzu would teach the king and his generals about strategy and tactics, principles that would later be recorded in a book known as The Art of War. In the introduction, Sun Tzu tells us that the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. He then reminds us that every battle is won or lost long before the fighting begins, depending on the plans and preparations of each side. For this reason, he says, the general who wins the battle makes many calculations in his temple before the battle is fought. The general who loses makes but few. Hence, the expert in battle moves the enemy and is not moved by him. And so the book is split into 13 chapters, some of which I'll go into today, and we'll discuss the rest in future videos. So, please make sure to subscribe if you don't want to miss them. Chapter 1 is all about planning and strategy. And here's what we learn. First, we're told that there are 5 constant factors that must be considered before any engagement: the moral law, heaven, earth, the commander, and method and discipline. The moral law represents unity of purpose, a cause that people willingly follow. Heaven refers to timing and the natural cycles of seasons and conditions. Earth signifies terrain, distances, and physical environment. The commander embodies wisdom, courage, and discipline. Finally, method and discipline stand for structure, organization, and logistics. Together, these factors determine whether victory is possible. If a leader has mastered these, they create conditions where winning becomes inevitable. Next, Sun Tzu reminds us that victory comes not from the size of an army, but from its quality and efficiency. In fact, he says that the whole secret lies in ruling the people without a single excess, in controlling the army without a single loss. This means having the right number of soldiers, well-trained and equipped, and led by capable commanders. Additionally, Sun Tzu stresses the importance of clear goals, thorough planning, and strict discipline. These 3 are the basis of any military campaign. Without them, even the largest army can fail. In Chapter 2, we learn about waging war. Sun Tzu opens this chapter with a powerful statement: "Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt." He immediately warns us about the costs of prolonged wars. Conflicts that drag on consume resources, weaken morale, and bring unnecessary suffering. Therefore, he insists that battles should be quick, efficient, and decisive. The best general wins quickly and with minimal loss, conserving energy for the challenges ahead. Moving on, we are taught that cunning is an important part of waging war. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. This doesn't mean avoiding battles. Rather, it means achieving victory through intelligence, diplomacy, and strategy. A clever general finds ways to outmaneuver, deceive, or intimidate his opponent so that the enemy yields without resistance. The goal is to achieve victory while minimizing losses and wasting neither time nor resources. And to do this, Sun Tzu advises that leaders should study their enemy, know their strengths and weaknesses, and use this knowledge to their advantage. This could involve exploiting weaknesses, avoiding strength, or taking advantage of opportunities created by the enemy's own mistakes. In the 3rd chapter, we learn about attack by stratagem. Here, Sun Tzu famously writes, The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. This quote alone has had a huge impact on history and has been used by everyone from military leaders to business executives. It teaches us that true mastery lies not in brute strength, but in intelligence, diplomacy, and strategy. A wise general finds ways to outmaneuver, deceive, or intimidate his opponent, so that the enemy yields without resistance. In Chapter 4, we learn about tactical dispositions. Sun Tzu explains that a skilled warrior first secures himself against defeat before seeking to conquer the enemy. A wise general builds a strong defense and establishes a position where failure is impossible. Only once this foundation is secure does he look outward for opportunities to strike. Sun Tzu teaches that strength is not in constant attack, but in patience and readiness. Victory belongs not to those who rush forward recklessly, but to those who know how to wait for the right moment when the enemy exposes a weakness. In Chapter 5, we learn about energy. Sun Tzu explains that energy must be used both directly and indirectly. Direct force may win battles, but it is costly and predictable. Indirect methods, on the other hand, create opportunities for surprise and innovation. A commander must learn how to combine these approaches, exhausting the enemy with feints, distractions, and clever maneuvers, then striking decisively when the moment is right. Just as a musician blends different notes to create harmony, so too must a strategist blend various tactics to produce victory. The essence of mastery lies in balance, the visible force that strikes openly and the hidden force that confuses, misleads, and overwhelms. In Chapter 6, we learn about weak points and strong. Sun Tzu reminds us that no enemy is without weakness. Every fortress has a gate, every army has a vulnerable point, and every strategy has its blind spot. The task of the general is to observe carefully, identify the flaws, and strike where the opponent least expects. Strength must never be confronted head-on if it can be avoided. Instead, one should direct energy where resistance is weakest. By being flexible and unpredictable, the strategist ensures that the enemy is always off balance. In Chapter 7, we learn about maneuvering. Sun Tzu explains that the ability to maneuver effectively is crucial for success in war. A good strategist takes into account the enemy's movements, the terrain, and the available resources. He adjusts his plans accordingly and uses deception to confuse the enemy. At the same time, he must be prepared to adapt to changing circumstances and exploit new opportunities as they arise. Flexibility and creativity are essential in this process. In Chapter 8, we learn about variation in tactics. Sun Tzu emphasizes that predictability can be dangerous. If the enemy knows your habits, he can anticipate and counter your moves. Therefore, a wise leader varies his tactics, creating uncertainty and confusion. To be adaptable is to remain untouchable. Sun Tzu also teaches that opportunities arise from change and chaos. The commander who can see patterns within disorder will find openings invisible to others. True skill lies not in rigid planning, but in the ability to adjust quickly, to innovate, and to strike in ways that no one expects. In Chapter 9, we learn about the army on the march. This chapter deals with the importance of observation in warfare. A skilled leader pays attention to the small details, such as the smoke rising from an enemy camp, the sounds they make, or the way their soldiers move. All of this provides valuable information that can help him understand the enemy's strength and intentions. By observing carefully, the general can gain the upper hand and make better decisions about how to proceed. In Chapter 10, we learn about terrain. This chapter is all about understanding the importance of terrain in warfare. Sun Tzu explains that different types of terrain require different strategies, and the wise general adapts accordingly. He considers factors such as the type of ground, the presence of natural obstacles, and the weather conditions. He then develops a plan that takes full advantage of the terrain and minimizes any disadvantages. Finally, in Chapter 11, we learn about the 9 situations. Sun Tzu outlines 9 kinds of battlegrounds, each demanding a unique response. There is dispersive ground, where troops are near their homes and easily tempted to retreat. There is facile ground, where movement is easy, but security is weak. There are dangerous grounds where survival is uncertain, and desperate grounds where men fight with the strength of those who know there is no escape. Sun Tzu's lesson is that no situation is hopeless if understood properly. Even desperation can become a weapon, for when men have no choice but to fight, their power multiplies. The great leader knows how to turn every situation, no matter how bleak, into an opportunity for victory. In Chapter 12, we learn about fire attacks. Sun Tzu describes how fire can be a powerful weapon in warfare, but beneath the literal meaning lies a metaphor. Fire represents external forces that can be unleashed to weaken an enemy. These forces could be natural elements, political influence, or alliances. The wise strategist harnesses forces beyond his immediate control to weaken the enemy without risking his own resources. Fire can destroy, but it can also be a tool of fear, confusion, and pressure. The art lies in using it at the right time and place, for a poorly timed blaze can consume the one who lit it. And finally, in Chapter 13, we learn about the use of spies. Sun Tzu emphasizes the vital role of intelligence in warfare. Spies, informants, and sources of intelligence are invaluable, providing insights into the enemy's plans and operations. By knowing your enemy and yourself, Sun Tzu says, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. A leader who gathers information from various sources is better able to anticipate potential threats and capitalize on opportunities. Knowledge is the greatest weapon of all. So there you have it, 13 of the most important lessons from the art of war. Please let me know in the comments what you thought of this special episode and what you think is the most important lesson from the book. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe for more episodes. And I'd also like to thank our supporters for their continued support of the channel. If you want to support us, please check the link in the description. Thank you.